All right, welcome everybody. So thank you so much for joining for our first country-specific webcast today. We're really excited to go over teaching English in Spain with you guys. So over this next hour, we're going to be doing a really deep dive into what it's like teaching in Spain. So we're going to cover types of jobs, the requirements for working in Spain, and then we are going to also dive into the job search process in Spain and how all of that works. So yeah, get some notes ready. We're going to cover a ton of really important information. Really, my best tip here is to take notes during the presentation and then get in touch with your advisor after you've watched. All right, so let's introduce ourselves a little bit here. My name is Erica. I'm an admissions advisor at International TEFL Academy. I did teach English in Spain, specifically in Madrid. I'm also living proof of how addictive this lifestyle is. Totally meant to stay for just a year. Ended up staying for 4 years because I had such a fun time over there. So now let me turn it over to my colleague, Michael.
Hey everybody, I'm Michael. I also taught English in Madrid, Spain with my wife. Actually, we treated this as a extended honeymoon, a full year. And it was a really profound experience for both of us. So can't imagine having not had this experience. Spain was so important for us, and hopefully it can be for some of you guys as well. And I'm happy to give you some insights over the next several minutes of this presentation. Christy.
All right. Hey guys, I'm Christy. I am a student affairs advisor here at International TEFL Academy, and I studied abroad in Spain. So I studied in Salamanca during my junior year of college. It's about an hour and a half or so outside of Madrid, and it was definitely the experience that changed the trajectory of my life. I ended up teaching abroad after having that experience, and so Spain is just really near and dear to my heart. So yeah, I'm excited to be here to help you with your job search and give you some of those insights during this presentation today.
All right, moving along. I'm going to cover the agenda here quickly. In today's webcast, we're going to cover who we are at ITA. We're going to go over the basic requirements for teaching English in Spain. We're going to talk about the types of jobs that exist in that teaching market. We're going to cover some of the most prominent government programs for teaching English in Spain. We're going to talk about visas, which I know if anybody's done some research, is probably on your mind. We're going to cover what might be some of your best TEFL class options and how job search guidance works for you to make that transition from where you're at now to Spain. And then at the end, we'll have some time to cover some of the top FAQs about that teaching market. All right, so who are we? You know, we're a TEFL provider with over 6,000 students a year. We've helped thousands of people transition to teaching markets around the world, Spain being one of the most popular. We have an online version of our class. We also have in-person 4-week intensive options, nearly 20 around the world. You know, hey, we really are a premier TEFL school, but you don't really have to take my word for it. We encourage you to look at our alumni reviews. You'll see that we rank quite highly across tons of independent platforms for travel abroad websites like Go Abroad, Go Overseas, our Google reviews, Better Business Bureau, and so forth. So glad you're here, and hopefully we can help you make a plan.
Let's show off our team here. So this is everybody at International TEFL Academy. This is us at our Teach Abroad Film Festival earlier this year. So yeah, just kind of a fun fact about us here at International TEFL Academy is we have all taught and lived abroad. So this is something that is very near and dear to us. So we are just so excited to get to help you guys do this same exact thing. We've been in your shoes. We know exactly how it goes. It's also a great pleasure for us to really just get to live vicariously through you guys, through all of your dreams too.
Okay, so here are your ITA Student Affairs Advisors up here at the top, and we are going to be your go-to team for job search guidance after you enroll. So you will have a personal job search guidance advisor who will help you with your resume, your cover letter, and just help answer any questions that you have regarding the job search, also help you find your path, what's going to work best for you, chat with you about visas, and all of that good stuff after you get enrolled.
Thanks, Christy. And again, this is Michael here. I'm on the admission advisors team here, and there's a nice picture of a chunk of us. That's not everybody, but a good part of the team there. And we're really here on the front end as you're doing things like you are now, researching your options for getting trained and then making a transition overseas. You're gonna have all kinds of questions about everything we talked about on this agenda today. And that's our job, is to help you start to figure that stuff out before you ever even select a class or sign up for anything. So everybody in this webcast has an advisor already assigned to them. So be sure to check your email and reach out to them, because they can cover everything we talk about today in detail with you specifically. All right, so why should we do this? I mean, why should you teach in Spain? It's sort of like a duh kind of thing to me. I mean, it's Spain. So it's Western Europe. It's historically and culturally extremely significant in the world. Amazing food, amazing music, geographically incredible things to see. So, I mean, come on now, it's Spain. But I don't know, Erica, what do you love about Spain? Why would you encourage somebody to teach there over maybe another place?
Yeah, my favorite thing about Spain, it was just so easy to meet people, to make friends. Like that was a really big concern of mine when I went abroad, is like, I hope I meet people. I hope I get to integrate with the locals a little bit. Something that Spanish people are very famous for is the fact that they are extremely social. It is a very extroverted country. They never turn down a good time. They're always up for meeting people. And that for me just really helped with the transition and made the experience so amazing. Yeah, I had a great time getting to know all of them over there.
Completely agree. Christy, any advice for people on why they might want to consider Spain?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as Erica said, the people were just amazing. And it's definitely one of those countries where, I'd be out in the plaza in Salamanca or Madrid at midnight or 1 a.m. and there's just people out and about, just living and enjoying life, eating at outdoor cafes, drinking sangria, having chupitos. I mean, it's one of those really, really vibrant places. And of course, as well as Michael mentioned, the food is just amazing. And also, if you're looking to really become fluent in Spanish, I mean, the Spanish here is, I found really easy to understand. And, I felt like my level of Spanish really, really advanced after living here as well.
All right, I'm going to break up Spain a little bit more on top of everything that we just said. Some other really great benefits of teaching English in Spain, like Christy said, really good, cheap food. I mean, tapas, if you're all about that, Spain's your jam. It's amazing. It's a really good option for first-time teachers and first-time travelers as well. I mean, Spain is just such an easy country to get around. Their public transportation is phenomenal. Everything's connected via train, metro, bus. You can even take short flights everywhere. And that really makes for some really good travel opportunities too. Like if you want to go travel elsewhere in Europe, you've got a ton of airports right there that are really good hubs for getting to other parts of the continent. Especially if you're going to teach English online, then you can bop around, go wherever the Wi-Fi connection is.
Okay, great. So, some ideal candidates for teaching English in Spain, what are some traits? So, after doing this for a few years now, what I've seen from some other people who've gone to Spain and been really successful, I mean, first of all, if you speak English, you're automatically qualified. Second of all, you love Spain or you think you'll love Spain. You're really looking for that lifestyle and looking to experience some of those great things we were talking about. And then lastly, being flexible. So teaching in Spain, it's really one of the best teaching markets in Europe and in the world in general. It's really going to be an adventure of a lifetime for you guys. However, it's not quite as straightforward in maybe the planning process or, in the conventional sense that maybe you're expecting. However, there are definitely clearly defined avenues to make it happen, and we are going to talk about those today. There will be an option for everybody, but just be flexible and trust the process. Okay, so some basic requirements to teach English in Spain. So Spain is a really popular market and popular part of the world for teaching English overseas. So we want to talk a little bit about what's going to make you successful and what are the requirements to actually teach there. So we're going to go ahead and highlight some of those things. Okay, so first, a four-year university degree is not necessarily required. Some programs that we're going to discuss today do require a bachelor's degree, but for the most part, degrees aren't required. We'll definitely work with you and talk with you about how to make it happen if you don't have a degree. However, if you do have a degree, this does not impact your odds at getting a job. You will absolutely be able to find a job, and it will open you up to all of the opportunities that are possible in Spain. And if you have a degree in education, awesome, you're even more qualified, and you may even have the opportunity to teach in an international or a bilingual school.
All right, let's talk about TEFL certification. So this is just really strongly preferred. I mean, really what it comes down to is any reputable school or online employer that pays a salary you can comfortably live off of, they're gonna be seeking out qualified English teachers as well. So this is really where that TEFL certification piece does come in. And I mean, of course, it's not just about having that acronym TEFL listed on your resume so that you're hireable. It's also about like really arming yourself with that training and that experience so that you feel comfortable, you feel confident in your ability to do your job as an English teacher. You'll be standing in front of that classroom and you'll be like, I got this, I know what I'm doing. Lesson planning will be so much easier. So really just benefits you too and what you're able to bring to the table and how comfortable you feel.
So planning around hiring seasons. So what are the best times of year to find work in Spain or in Europe? This is definitely something to consider for those of you who are looking to go to Spain. The two best times during the year are going to be the end of September, beginning of October, when the school year begins, and then again in January as a secondary hiring time. So those are really when schools are going to be looking for teachers to begin working. However, if you can't go to Spain during one of those peak seasons, that's absolutely okay. You can definitely go over there and either freelance tutor or teach online. There are also summer camps during the summer months, so between June and August that you could go teach in. And also if you do go during the off time, you might be able to get a few hours here and there in a school as well, just kind of depending on what they have available. And then how soon should you start planning a move to Spain or Europe? I would say as soon as possible. It's better to be prepared and have that time to actually prepare yourself. You do want to give yourself somewhere, usually we recommend between 3 and 6 months just for the prep process. So you also want to take into consideration getting your TEFL certificate before you do that as well.
Great points too. And before I cover this slide, as you're watching this, everybody, remember this is a quick overview. And we're touching on everything. Use your advisors. You all have one. Make an appointment and they can cover these in more detail. So don't feel overwhelmed. You're like, wow, okay, that was a lot. It's very manageable. We can break it down for you. So doing so, right now, let's move on to, sort of interviewing on the ground. This is a practice in many countries around the world. And Spain, for a number of positions, you might find yourself looking at doing this. So, people always ask, like, how's that work? Am I going to fly to Spain, do an interview, and have to fly back and then see if I got it? People want to know, like, are there benefits to on the ground, stuff like that. So, at the end of the day, for a lot of programs such as or schools like private language schools which hire a lot of people, private tutoring, a lot of these organizations are going to or individuals are going to need to hire you when you're in front of them. This is why we have a system to guide you through the peak hiring season. So there's no shortage of work. There's no chance that there's not opportunity. But these schools really need to know that you have your boots on the ground. You're not going to be flying back. You're going to start working, and your transition happens all at the same time into Spanish living. Now, we have a system for that. You're going to be guided through, how much money you need to have saved, where you're going to be applying. All your ducks are in a row. But it's very common for several positions to get a job on the ground when you arrive. Now, it might seem like, okay, that could seem a little daunting. That's almost a con, right? Like, this is not ideal to move there without a job. But really, remember, we're guiding through those hiring seasons. At the end of the day, there's a lot of language schools that are hiring people. There's a lot of individuals looking for classes. You have the ability to vet them with your eyeballs when you're there. You can see what neighborhood it is. You can ask other teachers, hey, how's working at this school? You can look at the facilities they're providing. You can look at how close it is to your house or the area you want to live in. You can meet these people that you might give private lessons to face and sort of decide, is this going to be a good fit for me? So overall, it's a great benefit to be there on the ground. There's tons of work, and you have a lot more control about your work environment when you're able to be there in person for that process.
Yeah, and one thing I will highlight about Spain is they are definitely the land of planners in the momenters. Like everything is done in the moment. If you tried to pin down a job a couple weeks in advance, they'd be like, we don't even know what we're doing next week. Like, it's just totally the way that the culture works. That was my experience.
Big time. Big time.
Yeah, definitely. Well, let's dive straight into the next slide here. Another important thing, being a self-starter, especially when it comes to private tutoring and teaching English online, which are very common income routes over in Spain. So how does one find private tutoring or teaching English online gigs in Spain? I mean, really, when it comes to private tutoring, this is something that our job search advisors are very educated on and can help you with. A lot of it is going to be word of mouth when you first arrive. I know we also have like recommended websites for where you should post an ad or respond to an ad and things like that. In general, though, in my own personal experience, I found that once I had a couple private tutoring classes on my schedule, everything else, it truly grew exponentially. Because what happened is my students had friends, and then their friends had friends, and then they all wanted classes. So it actually got to the point where I was turning down opportunities after a little while. So definitely trust that word of mouth in addition to a lot of the common websites that you can use for finding classes or advertising classes that you want to offer. When it comes to teaching English online, another area that our job search advisors are very educated on. I mean, they can help you figure out how to market yourself as an online employer, how to build up your schedule, types of online employers. There's literally hundreds out there. And then I think when it comes to how much money you can expect to earn private tutoring or teaching online in Spain, it all really comes down to time. Like for me personally, with my private tutoring, I found that the longer I had been in this, the more I was able to charge and the more I was able to combine classes together. So like two of my students, for example, who were friends, instead of offering them separate classes, I could combine their classes together, charge a little bit less each, but then I make more overall. Those are things that happen the longer that you've been in this. And then the same thing goes with teaching English online. The longer you've been doing this, the better chance there is that you're going to be able to raise your rate a little bit, expand that network, and it all really works in your favor.
Yeah, and really quickly too, to chime in, you're absolutely right. Like the whole idea of like turning down lessons and all of that, this stuff starts to flood in. There's a ton of people that are looking for the skill you have as a native English speaker who's well trained. So there's no shortage of work, and you're not reinventing the wheel here, or you're not inventing the wheel here. This is a system, private tutoring, private language schools, government jobs, all these things that we're covering is well established for decades. So we're just helping you plug into a system that's already been going on for a long, long, long time. So there's a lot of opportunity in Spain to work on terms that you want, that give you the kind of flexibility you're looking for. So keep that in mind. All right, visas. All right, whew. That's huge. All right, so it's a huge topic for Spain. And we really want to explain this early on in this presentation before we really jump into all like the nitty gritty of jobs and so forth. It's really important to understand visas for teaching in a country like Spain and how they work, and you know, it'll all lead to even a deeper understanding of how you're going to navigate these different jobs in that market. Granted, as we cover visas more, keep in mind, if you are some of our listeners and potential students that live in the EU or are EU citizens, this does not pertain to you. So sorry about that, but also congratulations.
All right, so let's dive into the topic of student visas. So yeah, just to kind of build on what Michael said in the last slide there, if you're not a European citizen, that's exactly what it comes down to. It's just really tricky to obtain a work visa as an English teacher in Spain. And I actually speak from personal experience with this. Like, I spent 4 years in Spain and I was never able to obtain a work visa during that time. You know, I made connections with language schools over there. I fostered relationships with them, but the work visa thing just wasn't happening. And it worked okay for me. I was able to make plenty of money to live comfortably. I was able to travel all over the place, so it didn't feel like a hindrance whatsoever. Yeah, so like Michael was saying, unless you're a European citizen who automatically has working rights in all of Europe, for those of us who aren't European citizens, really the best way to get to live in Spain legally as an English teacher is going to be through a student visa. So right here, I'm going to highlight a couple different options for you with the student visa route. So first and foremost, International TEFL Academy, we do have student visa programs, and they're specifically in Madrid and in Barcelona. So these are programs where you take language classes, which qualify you for a student visa. And then you also get job search guidance for either Madrid or Barcelona, depending on where you're based. The types of students you're typically going to be teaching here are going to be adults or business professionals. Another really popular option is there are teaching programs in Spain that do sponsor student visas. They're usually hosted through the Spanish government or through private schools. A big difference between this and the previous student visa programs I was mentioning that we offer is that you're typically going to be teaching school children in this type of environment. And usually you're going to be serving as like some type of a language assistant in schools and helping out in the classroom in that capacity.
Sorry about that. I was muted. That's live webcasting for you. Okay, so types of teaching jobs in Spain. That was a quick overview of some of your visa options. So keeping those in mind, let's talk about, you know, if you have a student visa, where can you be expecting to work if you move to Spain?
Yeah, so one of the most popular options if you do go to Spain on a student visa is to actually work at a private language school. So a private language school is basically a private-owned business that specializes in English language training. So they're all very different. They can range in size and scope. They can be mom and pop businesses with a single classroom, or they could also be large multinational chains of schools operating dozens of branches in multiple cities. So also something to keep in mind with this as well is you are usually going to be working with either adult students or business professionals. Sometimes with private language schools as well, you are going to be outsourced to businesses. So just kind of depending on the type of school that you're going to be working for will depend on, you know, exactly who your students are and exactly what that's going to look like. The schedule too, a lot of times with private language schools are going to be in the evenings. If you are outsourced to businesses, sometimes you are going to be working maybe during lunch hours as well. So that's definitely something that you can plan on. And this actually works out very perfectly with a student visa option because a lot of the classes with the student visa If you're taking Spanish classes, usually you go in the morning for a couple of hours, and then that leaves your entire afternoon free to teach, when a lot of the private language schools are looking for teachers to actually be there and be present. So that schedule usually works out very well. And also, if you do take the Madrid or Barcelona student visa program with us, they definitely help you with the job search, and can help you find private language schools to teach for.
All right, let's dive into the other student visa route with these teaching programs where you typically work as a language assistant with school children. So there are tons of programs out there. We are going to highlight some of the top ones a little bit later here, but just to kind of give you a general gist of what to expect for these. So these are typically programs that are going to pay you a monthly stipend to work as a language assistant at schools. So again, you're going to be working with children most likely. Most of these programs, they do open up applications in the winter. And then what will happen is with that application, if you get a placement, it will be for the upcoming school year. So typically that winter application is going to get you a placement then for the academic year that's going to start in like September to October, and then it's going to go until about June, give or take. Something else to take into consideration is that a bachelor's degree in any field is typically required for these programs.
Okay, so Erica touched on this just a little bit already, regarding private tutoring, but this is a huge market in Spain. So first, it can be a great side hustle for those who are looking to boost their incomes. So you could absolutely work at a private language school or work in a teaching program and then also private tutor on the side. A lot of people do that to supplement their income, to fill their hours. It's just a really great way to earn extra money, but it's also a great way to fill your entire schedule. So actually, Alan, who's in this photo, he filled his entire schedule in Barcelona just private tutoring as well. So as Erica mentioned, kind of once you get a few students, you tend to get more and more and more because they tell their friends, they tell their family, and they all have friends and they all have family. So it's also a way, if you're there teaching on a student visa, you can take classes in the mornings, you're there legally, and then that opens up your options to just private tutor in the afternoons if you want. So that's a really, really great way also to either supplement your income or even fill your entire schedule while you're teaching in Spain. Okay, and also, so teaching English online, very similar to private tutoring in Spain, except you get to work from home, which is really great for those of us that love to sit around in our pajamas and not leave. So this is something that you can absolutely set up before you leave for Spain. So that's a really great thing to do so that for sure you're going to have this income stream coming in once you get there. You don't have to worry so much about startup costs. You can kind of take your time to find a school or to find students that you really want to teach once you get there. And then, also like private tutoring, it can take a little bit of time to build your student base, so you can do that ahead of time. So that's really great. Also keeps your teaching skills really fresh. And then also once you get to Spain, this is a great way to also supplement your income. So if you are working in a private language school or doing one of the teaching programs, or private tutoring, you can also teach online on top of all of that. And also, I've also worked with some students who've worked for 2 online teaching companies and gone to Spain on a student visa and have just done that. So lots and lots of options, and we have really, really good resources and online school finders, and all kinds of materials for you to find a job teaching online.
If I could chime in real quick on that too, guys, online education, if you haven't been thinking about teaching English online, that's okay. A lot of people aren't necessarily thinking about that when they start researching this, but it is a game changer now. And there are more and more schools coming into this virtual world of teaching. You can reach so many people around the world, and it's just such an awesome way to have extra income like they talked about, but even more importantly, to build up your skill and your confidence before you ever even move to another country. So one of the last things you ever have to be worried about as you're transitioning to the other side of the world is, can I do this work? Have I done it before? Do I really feel confident? You could already have a lot of experience under your belt and just be ready to hit the ground running. So it's an awesome thing. That talk to your advisor about it, because there's a lot of great ways to use that.
For sure.
Well, let's dive into some of the top teaching programs in Spain. I'm going to go through a few of the top options. So, auxiliares de conversación, that is a handful to say. This is actually the program that I did in Spain, so definitely something that's very near and dear to me. So this specific program is kind of one of the largest, most known teaching assistantship programs in Spain. It's sponsored by Spain's Ministry of Education, so there's placements all over the place. Really the big thing to know specifically with this program, because it is so large, is the earlier you apply in the application process, the better. It's going to increase your chances of getting your desired location, because in the application you can express preference in what region you'd like to end up in. I actually specifically remember that I was checking back on their website on like a daily basis when January rolled around, and I was like, all right, the second that application opens up, I'm jumping on it, and that's exactly what I did. With this particular program, you're going to be working about 3.5 days a week. I worked Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, full days, and then Thursday, a half day, just to give you an example. And then the monthly stipend is going to be around 700 euros a month for most locations. Since you're working 3.5 days, you can definitely take some time to do that private tutoring or teaching English online that we were mentioning as a side income. Another popular program, and this is specifically for Madrid, is a program called Beta. So yeah, most of their placements are at schools in Madrid or at least in that nearby vicinity. The salary and hours per week do vary with Beta. In general, you're going to be working anywhere from 18 to 24 hours per week. And then the monthly stipend, that's also going to range depending on where you're at in terms of hours per week. It's going to be around 800 to 1,200 euros for that monthly stipend that you're working with. All right, and then USETAM, another really fun one to say. They offer placements in Madrid and in the surrounding area, so you could potentially be in the city of Madrid or maybe in the suburbs. They even do some placements in small towns outside of Madrid. So the work hours there, you're typically going to be doing anywhere from 18 to 26 hours per week. And then the stipend is going to be anywhere from 1,000 to 1,400 euros a month, depending on where you're at in that hour range. And then Medeas. So this is actually a preferred partner for International TEFL Academy. And Christy, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that means it kind of helps our students get bumped up in the application stack, right?
Yeah, absolutely. When they see that a student is applying from International TEFL Academy, they automatically think, okay, they're a certified teacher, they have great experience, so we're at least going to give them an interview.
Woohoo! Pretty awesome when there's like hundreds of people applying. It's nice to get an extra foot in the door there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so Medeas, they offer placements at private schools all over Spain. The salary that you receive is going to be based on your qualifications and like what experience you have with teaching. Obviously, more experience and more qualification means higher salary. So it ranges anywhere from 350 to 500 euros, about that, with a homestay included. And then if you don't need housing, then you do get a little bit of a salary bump since they're not having to pay for housing for you. You're going to be teaching about 20 hours a week with this program. And then one specification that I do want to make sure to highlight is that you not only have to have a bachelor's degree like you do for all these other teaching assistantship programs, that degree also needs to have been obtained within the last 4 years. So just an important thing to highlight. And I'm actually just quickly going to go over just some pros and cons too with these language assistantship programs to kind of help you think about if this is a good fit for you or not. So obviously some of the pros, you get a monthly stipend, you're able to live legally in Spain on a student visa, you get health insurance. Some other things to think about though too is you're deciding which route you want to go with your student visa. Side income, definitely going to be necessary with these programs because you're typically working about part-time, you're making more of a part-time salary. So be ready to private tutor or teach online as a side income. I think another really good thing to be mindful of too is the fact that these are placements. You're not in the driver's seat in determining where you end up. You're leaving it in the hands of the program. So you may or may not get your preference depending on how early you apply. If you absolutely want to be in one specific location, like Madrid or Barcelona, for example, then maybe think about our student visa program in one of those two locations so that you know that you'll get into that specific city.
And one other thing I want to mention too about the programs is that most of them are hiring sometime between January and April for the following fall. So that's the major start time. So you'll want to make sure that timeline also works for you and that you're getting your application in on time. Sometimes there's some exceptions depending if they need more teachers or a position opens up. So some of them will often have positions opening in January as well, but that major start time is going to be in the fall.
Great point. And you know, Christy, like your point you said earlier in the broadcast, when people ask like, when should I be getting TEFL certified? The true answer is always now, yesterday, as soon as you can, because all those different deadlines that could come up, if you miss one, now you're waiting half a year to a year before you can even apply again. So anyways, cool. That came full circle. Nice work. All right, real quick too, you guys, what festival is this? Because this looks like a lot of fun or a scene from a horror movie.
I think this is the Tomatina. It's in a town called Buñol, I believe. It's a legitimate tomato fight. Like that's the purpose of the festival.
I've seen this before, but I never got to go in person. But oh well. Or this is like when the running of the bulls goes wrong. Okay, I don't know.
That's what I was thinking because I did go to Running of the Bulls while I was there, and that was a crazy
Oh, that's
event.
wild.
Yeah. All right, back on track. Sorry, everybody. All right, so you know, if you're going to do a teaching program, some people might ask why they should get TEFL certified, because a number of them don't make it an explicit requirement. There's a lot of reasons for this. You know, in many cases, these are really competitive programs, and you're going to want to separate yourself, just like anything in life. To be able to speak to the skill that you have makes you a lot more appealing for somebody, especially when you look at, with a lot of these government programs, you're not really getting a say in where you end up. And for some people who don't have training and really know what they're doing, that's hard enough, just doing the job. You got a bunch of kids in front of you who don't speak English, and you're the only English speaker around. That's daunting enough if you don't know what you're doing. But if you're also in a place that is really foreign, wasn't exactly where you thought you'd end up or whatever, it can be overwhelming. So a lot of these organizations will prefer you to have the skill, one less thing for them to worry about. You know, also speaking to that point, look, if you have a TEFL certificate, you have all the power. So you could take a government position job and do it for a while and then realize, hey, I need to earn extra money. I'm not working enough hours. I'm not making enough money. I want to teach online. I want to get private clients. I want to work in language schools on the side. Or you could say, hey, you know, I've had this experience. I'm in a smaller town. This is fun, but I really want to move to Barcelona. I really want to move to Madrid or whatever. Well, if you're certified, you have all of that opportunity in front of you. You could go get those jobs. You can move on. You could go from Spain. Now you got the travel bug and you're moving to Thailand or Argentina next year, whatever. The investment in getting this training is going to make your life better as a professional. It's going to make you a much more ethical teacher because these students are really depending on you to help them, and they're spending a lot of time and energy on that. And at the end of the day, it gives you total flexibility to make this experience what you want and need it to be. No matter what your school situation is, you always have an opportunity to expand on that or leave altogether and start anew somewhere else. So it's definitely worth having these credentials, even if it's technically not a requirement for a specific job you might be applying to.
Yeah, and Michael, I'm going to jump in here because I actually did my teaching experience before I was certified, and I will tell you guys, it was tough. I had a bunch of adorable Nepalese children staring at me, and I had no idea what to do, where to start. You know, I'd had no prior teaching experience, and I, you know, definitely eventually learned, but it took a long time, you know, and so with this experience under your belt, you'll have a practicum, you'll get in the classroom, you know, you'll be working with students, you'll feel so much better about being a teacher, and you'll have the resources so it'll take you less time to lesson plan. So definitely consider getting your TEFL certificate.
You know, and one other, thank you, Christy. That's an awesome point. You know, one other thing that you made me think of is, look, at the end of the day, even with these government programs, who many of them in Spain, remember, if you're going to be a private tutor, if you're going to work in language schools, you're going to need to be TEFL certified to work anywhere legitimately. But in these government programs, they have, not all of them require this training. What's not being talked about is the fact that people start maybe in the fall, and then all of a sudden January comes around and some of these programs are looking for a lot more teachers, not because they were supposed to be, but because many of them didn't quite make it. They didn't stay the whole time. And it's not because necessarily the teaching of the students or Spain or whatever, that wasn't working out. It was just because these individuals were overwhelmed. They didn't have anything to draw from, and you can only play hangman for about 10 minutes in front of a group of students before they caught on to you and you don't have any more ideas. So just don't put yourself in that position. This can be so manageable, so fun, rewarding, and a great skill to build on no matter what you go into later in life. And you don't have to come home with your tail between your legs because you got gobbled up by the stress of sort of winging it. There's no reason to do that. Uh-oh. We got an audio issue here. Oh, here we go. I'm on it. Best TEFL classes. All right. Look, guys, we've got a couple of different sort of routes to become TEFL certified through us. Particularly for Spain, there's some things that make a lot of sense. So we're going to cover what your options might be with us.
All right, and I'll start off by diving into our online TEFL class. This is the most popular course that we offer. It takes 11 weeks to complete, and it is on a part-time basis. So it's going to be about 10 to 12 hours a week, somewhere in that range on average. Really good option if you're working full-time and know that you want to go overseas, but can't afford to just drop your whole life to start that process of getting certified to get you overseas. So really good option to have in mind if that's your case. This course is internationally accredited. You'll be able to teach all over the world, not just in Spain, once you finish the course. Taught by university level instructors as well. So we're going to make sure that you're in good hands and getting a really quality education. The other thing too is there is live practice teaching required. This is really just an international standard that is so important to make sure that you take a course that has that practice English teaching component within it. It's not only you meeting that international standard by having practice English teaching, but it's also you getting a little bit of experience, you know? That way you can feel comfortable and confident standing in front of a classroom, having those 20 hours going already. Another thing too with the online TEFL class is it is capped at 20 students, so you're definitely going to get a lot of individualized attention from your professor. They're going to be giving you weekly grades and feedback, hosting live lectures. They'll be available for virtual office hours, all of that good stuff. And yeah, like I was saying earlier, it's the most popular TEFL class that we offer, and the tuition for that course is $1,399. And then I'm also going to dive into some in-person TEFL class options if you feel called to take your course overseas. So we do have courses in both Barcelona and in Madrid. If you want to just get overseas, take your course there, stay there to teach, that's totally an option. Or even if you just want to like go to Spain for a summer, spend a month there, take your course and experience Spain a little bit to see if you like it. And then, you know, if you want to go back to teach, whatever works better for you. So these courses are 4 weeks long, much more of an intensive commitment since you're basically taking that same amount of content you would have been learning in our part-time online course, but condensing it into 4 weeks. So it's going to keep you very busy, but after 4 weeks, boom, bang, you're done with it.
So another great reason to get TEFL certified, and specifically through ITA, of course, so you have the experience and the resources and the material beforehand, but also you get access to a personal student affairs advisor. So we really do help you get a job in Spain. So we do have assistance with resume and cover letter. We have templates available for you that have worked for all of our alumni who've gone overseas that we can share with you. And then we also edit them for you, review them, answer questions, make sure that they look good before you're sending them to an employer. And then also with your personal student affairs advisor, we can set up appointments with you guys. So talk over the phone. We also can arrange a Skype call or just even emails. You know, if you just have quick questions you want answered, no problem. But we also have a ton of information and resources as well for you. So you'll get access to all of that job search guidance information. And then another really important thing we do is contract reviews. You know, make sure that the job offer that you're getting or, you know, the avenue that you're taking, teaching in Spain or anywhere else in the world is going to be right for you, and that your contract is fair and what they're offering you, you know, salary, vacation, all of that good stuff. You want to make sure, and we also want to make sure that this is an amazing experience and an adventure of a lifetime for you. So we really do provide all of that. And, you know, the job search guidance that we provide is also good for life. So if you want to go to Spain next year and then afterwards you're like, hey, I want to go teach in South Korea, you come right back to us at ITA and we're here to help you.
Yeah, and guys, you know, for somebody on the admissions side, speaking of the service that Student Affairs provides on the job support side of things, I mean, we are world famous for this. It is an incredible feature and benefit of being a student of ours. That is really something that's pretty special and unique to us.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have a really awesome team. All of us have taught abroad and, you know, spent a lot of time living overseas as well. So we are very excited to help you do the same thing. And so also another really, really great perk of going through ITA and getting your TEFL certification with us is our Alumni Association. We have graduated over 20,000 students, I believe. And you know that number is growing and growing every couple weeks. So we have ways for you guys to access this information from our alumni and to also chat with our alumni. So as you can see on the left-hand side, we have a specific Spain discussion group, and also we have a discussion group for all countries. And this is just such a good way to connect with other people, to ask questions. Everybody in this group is an ITA alum or ITA staff member. So they are there to help answer questions, either if they're there currently, if they've taught there previously, or maybe they're going to do the same thing that you are at the same time. I can't tell you how many students have come back to me and said, oh my gosh, I met my roommate, or I found my apartment, or I got a private tutoring gig through the Facebook group. So this is really, really a huge perk. And then on top of that, you know, we have just great Instagram takeovers. We have alumni couple every week who are showing us a day in the life of teaching English in Spain and all over the world. So we have access to all of that information on our website. So takeovers, we have Q&As, we have articles, and we also have an annual World Alumni Day celebration every year. We always have a couple locations in Spain that are hosting where all of our alumni get together and they meet up on the same day, usually in September. Yeah, Michael or Eric, I'm not sure if I missed anything here that you want to chime in on.
Yeah, well, you know, I just feel like our Spain Facebook group is one of the fastest growing ones. Like, it's amazing to see how many people are over there, how much they're helping each other, how often that Facebook group gets posted on. So, yeah, I always like to encourage students, take advantage of those groups, start making friends before you even leave. I think you were kind of mentioning that too, Christy. Like, it's pretty exciting that we have so many people in Spain and they're all future friends for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, when I talk to potential students who are you know, looking for more information about how this whole thing works on the phone, I talk about this a ton. The Alumni Association and these private groups that you can connect with your own fellow alumni in. It's just a fantastic resource, and you're getting it right from the source. You know, I mean, these people, they were you 6 months ago, a year ago, 2 years ago, and now they went through this process and they're living in this place that you're about to move to or you're considering moving to. And it's just really valuable insight combined with the fact that you have an advising team in student affairs working with you, and you have our job manual So you're going to be super well prepared, not only to teach, but to physically, mentally, and emotionally make this transition into a new country, because you're being supported by your peers who have just gone through this process ahead of you. Okay, what are we on here? FAQs for Spain. Always popular section of our webcasts. Let me think here. Erica. Question we get a lot is like, should I, work at a language school? Should I private tutor? Should I teach online if I have a student visa and I want to live in Spain?
Yeah, so maybe I'll start by comparing language schools with private tutoring, because that's what I did. In terms of private tutoring versus working at a language school, I think it really depends on what you want to get out of this. If you want to have your schedule already hashed out for you and figured out for you, and you want to go, straight to a language school or maybe a conference room if you're teaching business professionals or something like that, then I think working for a language school is a really good fit, because those hours get set for you. They're doing all that middleman work for you. I gotta say though, with private tutoring, I found that I was able to make a little bit more money, even though it was me doing all the legwork, putting my name out there, coordinating schedules with my students, creating a policy for if someone was going to cancel classes, but I still needed to earn my money. Creating policies around that takes a little bit more work. But honestly, for me, once I found that private tutoring was becoming such a good salary for me, I was actually able to gradually turn away from working at a language school, because I was like, you know what? I've got all these private classes going on. They're all friends with each other, so they're learning similar things. The lesson planning is really easy because of that. And they all want to be in class together. So I'm charging them less, but I'm making more. Maybe I go to their house, maybe they come to mine and I give them a little discount, and then I literally don't even have to leave or commute. It was pretty awesome. So over time, I found that private tutoring was actually my preferred source of income. So some kind of, food for thought as you guys are thinking about this. I will say though, if I had known when I went abroad that teaching English online was an option, I would have 100% did that. Because the thing is, with teaching English online, you can start doing it while you're still at home, get a schedule rolling up, and then by the time you get overseas, you're like, oh, I'm already working 10, 15 hours a week. Like, that's such an amazing thing to be able to do. Like, how helpful that would have been for me if I moved to Spain earning regular income the day I arrived. Um, the other thing too is there's a lot of online employers based out of Asia that I'm pretty sure pay more than a language school would pay in Spain. So it's like you might as well earn more money per hour by working for an online employer based out of a different country, where you're making a little bit more, and then you don't have to commute to get to any of your classes. So that's a pretty sweet gig too.
Yeah, excellent advice. And as a person who also taught in Madrid, I share your ideas around private tutoring, teaching online, all of that. I completely agree. Lots of just amazing different avenues you could take. What's another big one? Christy, people want to know if you can do any kind of teaching, like a government program or whatever. Can you do it longer than a year? And can you stay another year, or are there options to extend?
Yeah, absolutely. So a couple of the programs, depending on which one you're looking at, you can definitely sign on for a second year. Some of them do have a cap on just 2 years for the program specifically. So, as long as everything went well during that first year, you met all of their expectations, you liked the school, you got along, you can absolutely sign on for another year through one of these specific government or private programs. Also, on a student visa, you can stay pretty much you can renew that visa as many years as you want. So if you do go for 1 year, you have to process that student visa from your home country. So then you head over for a year, but from the second year, you can actually renew the student visa in Spain. So you don't have to come home to keep renewing it every year if you want to do that. So one thing to think about though with the student visa, if you are getting that on your own and taking the Spanish classes, and then finding your own teaching job, you will have to pay for those Spanish classes every year. So that just is one thing to keep in mind. But yes, you can absolutely do that for as many years as you would like.
Awesome. I guess I'll throw it to Christy again, since you're on a roll. A lot of times we get asked about housing. What do you do for housing if you're transitioning from where you're from to Spain?
Yeah, what's so funny, Michael, about this question is that it's one of the things that I get asked the most from most people who are looking to go to Spain, where Spain isn't necessarily a country where housing is provided by your employer. A couple of the programs do have options, or they have landlords or rental agencies that they work with that they can refer you to, but a lot of times it's ultimately going to be up to you to find your own housing. However, it's the thing most people ask me about, but then I never hear that they had any issue with it. It's one of those things that's super easy to find, once you get there. We do usually recommend that, you can definitely do a little bit of research ahead of time, talk to some of our alumni who are there, see if maybe they're renting a room or know of somebody. But you really want to get there and actually see the housing situation before you sign anything. You want to make sure it's in a good area. It's not going to be super far from your work. So just a couple of things to keep in mind. So what most people do is they usually book, an Airbnb or a hostel. If you're like me, I prefer Airbnbs at this point in my life, but if you're young, looking to meet people, a hostel is great, so you can kind of chat with some other people and you're not feeling, as isolated maybe. But they'll book that for a couple weeks just to get started until they actually find somewhere more permanent to live.
Excellent. Erica, last major FAQ, we've touched on it in this webcast today, but a lot of times people will ask, there's a lot of different options for Spain. How do you establish an appropriate timeline for making that transition? 6 months, 8 months? How long do people need to plan to prepare so that they can make this move comfortably?
Yeah, and I think really the first step to all of it is just jumping on a phone call with your admissions advisor, kind of telling them your specific situation and what you're trying to do, and then they can give you some personal advice around that. In general, though, it is going to depend on what you want to do over there. Like, say, for example, you wanted to do one of our student visa programs in either Madrid or in Barcelona. Now, these programs have rolling dates. Like, there's a lot of different options when you can start, but it takes about 90 days, sometimes even more, to process a student visa. So you'd have to make that decision far before that. And then when we're talking about like teaching programs where you're working as a language assistant, these do have specific application deadlines and cycles. So like, say, for example, you wanted to do that auxiliaries program. They're opening up applications in January, I believe. So ideally, you'd be getting certified or be done with that certification before you're even worrying about applying. Get that checked off the list so you can keep your focus on applying for that program. Really, at the end of the day, though, I think the biggest thing to take home about this is the sooner you start, the more options you're going to have available to you. If your plan changes, you're like, you know what? I thought I wanted to do a teaching program, but now I actually want to do the student visa program in Madrid. You gave yourself that time then to make that change by getting started sooner. So yeah, really just the most important thing, make that decision. If you know you want to do this, go ahead and get certified. That way you're going to have more options later down the road.
Obviously, we may not have covered every single aspect that that you might have question-wise about this transition, but that is what your advisors are for. So book an appointment and they'll walk you through that. Thank you guys for covering those so far.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I'll just really hit home with that. I mean, moral of the story is that there is a lot of information to know about Spain, so much information. So talk to your advisor so that you can go through the specifics of what you're trying to do. They'll give you that personal advice based on what you want to achieve. And then from there, yeah, get a plan going to start getting TEFL certified, work on that game plan with a job search advisor here, and then experience the world as a paid English teacher in Spain. So not too shabby of a process. It's pretty easy once you get started, I will say. Yeah, so I really hope that all this information was helpful to you guys. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Christy, for providing that wonderful job search guidance perspective with that in-depth knowledge. Yeah, we just really hope that this has been a useful resource for all of you guys who are thinking about Spain. And yeah, hope that you reach out to your advisor, get some information from them, talk through your plan, and best of luck. We're excited to help you out.
Thanks, everybody. Go move to Spain.
Yeah, do it.